Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
You know, just like your car in life, sometimes you get to that point where you need a charge. The battery went dead. And how do you find that inspiration, that spark to move you forward? We're going to talk about that vitality and what really juices you up, gets you charged up. We all have a different answer, I'm sure, when we ask that question. And she helps us ask questions of ourselves and makes us think a little bit deeper. She is the founder of Healthy Mindful Self. She's got an amazing background when it comes to medication, pharmaceutical, and also your mindset and moving your life in a very positive direction. Dr. Lisa Nezneski is back with us. Hey, Lisa, how you doing?
I'm good, Steve. And you?
Very well, very well. And this topic today, what recharges us, makes me think, I think we really all have a different answer. What would be your answer?
Oh, I can give you two very clear answers to this because there are two different situations in which I charge myself. One is sitting and knitting with Netflix on. I'll just sit and make something. I'll feel like I'm being productive because I'm knitting, but I'm really just relaxing and charging my batteries. The other is being out in a crowd. So going to the theme parks is my other way that I recharge my batteries. And sometimes I need to be in a crowd with other people, and other times I really don't and just want to be alone. So those two things in particular charge my batteries for a replenishment. But when you think about it, you really need to build rest and rejuvenation into your daily schedule. You can't just wait until vacation to help to really fill that pitcher back up, because it empties out pretty quickly sometimes on a daily basis.
Yeah, for sure. Vacation, 25 days and 20 hours. That's my answer.
But who's counting, right?
No. But that's I love having things to look forward to, and I look forward to that. And it's been a while, so this one has more meaning for me in my journey. But then you said crowds, and I forgot about that, and that is one of mine too. And just yesterday, I was at a fundraiser with a bunch of tribute bands, and just the vibe of people, running into a couple of people I know from back in the day and things like that. But that just feels good. Just, sitting there and enjoying something along with other people. So I forgot about that until you said it, because to me, that's kind of normal. I just, kind of do that often, but now I know why. Feels good. It's like a recharge.
Well, exactly. And it's important to you. So when you look at your personal core foundation in each of those 6 areas that we've talked about, relationships and health and spirituality, your financial obligations, and so on. In each one of those areas, you really should have something that recharges your battery. For me, meditation every single day, without fail, twice a day, first thing in the morning, last thing at night, I do my meditation, and it really sets the mood for the day. And a few minutes ago, I mentioned you really need to have things in your daily routine that will replenish you.
You talk about those cores, those certain values. Can we identify them, and then so that we can think of within each of those what that little spark is?
Yeah, hopefully I'll remember them all. Okay, so we've got relationships, health, spirituality, financial obligations, home life, and work life. And now, if you're retired, work life means whatever you do to give you meaning in your life. Like if you're taking guitar lessons or something like that, whatever that is. Yes, exactly. So those are the 6: relationships, health, spirituality, financial obligations, home life, work life.
So I'm trying to look at all of those. The one that stands out for me with a little bit of a question is financial situation. So,
Retail therapy.
oh, see, I
Yeah,
right away, or yeah, I think you said maybe responsibility. I look at it in a different
yeah,
way in terms of, where's the bright spot, the recharge, but okay. Yeah, I
yeah.
got you.
Do you have fund money built into your budget?
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah,
There,
right,
I
right.
have to tell you, there is something that feels damn good just going on Amazon. I'm thinking, well, you know what? Could get one of those. What about that? Let me, and even just, clothes. You buy a couple of things and you just, put them in the bag if you don't like the way they fit and just drop them off somewhere and you're good. Just too easy. So yeah, I see. I got that one.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's important to not have yourself stretched so thin that you cannot do fun things, even if it's going to the movies, something relatively inexpensive for it, finding a park nearby that's a free park that you can go out into the sunshine and nature and really
Hmm.
enjoy yourself. I mean, there are ways, even if you have a tight budget, to find ways to get out and replenish yourself. And it's how creative can you be?
Right. Right. So out of those, can you give us some of your personal examples that we haven't hit upon yet?
Yeah, exactly. I mentioned movies. I like to go on movie dates with my significant other. That's fun.
Hmm.
Health. What rejuvenates me is I have a subscription to an online exercise group, and they're hilarious and they're fun and just I can't keep up with them, but I'm out there doing it, you know.
Hmm.
I have a bike that I like to ride, and just for fun, I put a basket on the front. And when I was at Universal, I picked up a little stuffed ET toy.
Yeah.
So ET's on the front of my bike, and I just get the hugest charge out of driving around with ET, like I'm in the movie. So anyway, that's a fun thing that I do. It makes me feel good, but I'm also uh, exercising my body. Um,
You mentioned home life there as one of the excuse me, one of the last ones. Um, would that be the quiet time?
it could be the quiet time. I'm thinking more of the things that, when I am uninterrupted and can just focus on making new recipes, I'll cook for like 6 hours in a row,
Wow.
just for fun. Yeah, just because one thing gets started and oh, I have this ingredient, I can make this and I can make this, and which is fun for me. And then I'll freeze it and I have it. So it is the quiet time, but it's
Hmm.
also active time that you're doing something positive for yourself.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. So a lot of this is all coming clearer. Um, and my first answer was vacation, and I was going to leave it at that. But now we dig a little deeper, and this is what you do in terms of the mindset. Out of all those different areas in your life, those six, finding the spark in each of them keeps you, I guess, well-rounded.
Yeah, exactly. And we're leaving work for last, not intentionally, but I always told my employees, life is too short to have a bad job.
Hmm.
Find something else you like to do,
Yeah.
you know? So I've been with McKesson now, I want to say 9 years. In a few weeks, I'll be starting my 10th year with McKesson. And this is the longest job I've had in a really long time. So it's a good job. It's a good job. I like it. Um, in working with my customers, and I work nationwide, um, I give them advice that they can act on. It's very actionable, and they can see tangible results in dollar signs
Hmm.
savings. So, in addition to all of this that I do, which really replenishes me, healthy, mindful self and working with people individually,
Sure.
I am the national expert on orphan drugs in small hospitals. So it's taken me 40 some years as a pharmacist to get to the point where I have a very narrow niche, but it's very deep. And I enjoy it immensely. It's challenging. I get to see all the new drugs that come out, which is really, I remember when I learned the structure of aspirin, salicylic acid, and I was just
Hmm.
so excited about that. I remember that very clearly. I was all of maybe 18 years old in second year of pharmacy school, and I still get excited
Wow.
by the chemical structures of these things and where does this come from? So anyway, that's work life. My dad told me, you're going to be a pharmacist. I said, okay. I didn't really think too much about it, but I was good in math and science, and he thought that that would be a good fit. He had an interesting life where his mom, my grandfather passed away very, very young. And so she was left with a young daughter. My Aunt Audrey was only 8 years older than me. And I was a baby when he passed away. So she was left without an income after he passed away. And that made a huge impression on my dad. And so he made sure that all of us girls, I have two
Hmm.
sisters, no brothers, that all of us had a profession that we could support ourselves just in case. That was his thinking. But I don't need to be supported by anyone. I can do it myself. And so having granddaughters, reaching down two generations, they can see their grandmother doing things oh, well, Graham did that. We could do that. That's not a big deal. So,
Well, that's got to make you proud, Lisa, that they will look back in short time and see, wow, grandma was kind of a trailblazer in what she was doing and how she was doing it. And that's got to be your bright spot. Not only
it is.
that, but also when you beam and exude such positive energy when you talk about clients and how the value you provide makes such a difference for their businesses and their whatever they're doing, their model. Um, there's a jolt right there, and you're just doing your thing, you
Yes,
know?
exactly. Exactly. And there was a time when I would really seriously stress myself out over work, but I've gotten to the point where um, everything doesn't have to be done right now. You have
Hmm.
these realizations that there's always tomorrow to work on something. You don't need to have everything done and work these 12-hour days. I mean, I remember when 56 hours was my limit in a week. If I got over 56, I would start, my work quality would decline. And now I'm obligated for the 40 hours with McKesson, and that's good enough. You know, um, I really can't do more than that physically, mentally, or you end up being just really burnt out. This week, I told you I work this weekend too. So everyone that I talked to this weekend was burnt out about dealing with their health.
Hmm.
Sort of the theme of the weekend, that it's hard to get appointments with doctors. It's hard to get them to answer your phone calls. Why is this so hard? It's hard to when you're waiting for lab test results. That was a common theme as well. It's like, okay, I know there might be something wrong, but that wait, okay, we've done the test. Now we're waiting for the results to see what happens. And I think a lot of times when it involves a biopsy, that can be nerve wracking. You've had some issues with skin, so have I. Um, it's I'm I've been through it a few times that I just whatever it is, I know it can be taken care of, and I've gotten to the point where I just don't worry about it. You know,
Same, same.
yeah,
And how do
yeah.
we do that? How did we do that? How do we all do that? Is it just getting to the point where you have faith in yourself and maybe the faith in the universe that it's going to work out in a certain way? It all kind of does, whether it's financial, personal situations, all of it. It kind of, if you have that faith.
Yes, I think faith is a huge part of it. Belief, if you
Mm,
believe that you're going to be healthy, you're right. If you believe that you can't get healthy, you're also right. It's whatever you believe.
yeah. Yeah.
So having belief and faith, uh, we've eroded trust in the medical system. That is clear by all of the conversations that I've had this week. But it's really important to find someone that you can have an open conversation with that will listen to you. And when you're finding difficulty, I actually gifted a scholarship to a Medicaid lady this weekend because she was just so frustrated, not she's getting the brush off. And I said, I can help you. Let's work on this. So that's something I really want to get out there is that when you're having difficulty with the medical system, I can help you with that. I speak their language. I can give you the things that will register with them so that you get action on whatever issue it is. I'm also, because of all the time I spent in nursing homes as a nursing home pharmacist, I'm really good at side effects and
Mm.
figuring out, you tell me what your symptom is, and I'll help you find the words to tell the doctor what it is. Because a lot of times we'll say, well, I sort of have a vague pain right here. And they don't know what to do with that. But if you say, every time when I wake up, I have a massive pain that feels like a thunderbolt that is in one particular spot in my head, then they're like, okay, that's a migraine. So
Mm.
the more specific you can be on how to describe the symptom to the doctor, of course I can help with that. The better diagnosis you'll get.
What about medication management? Let's say that, you have some challenges and you have a whole bunch of meds that you take. And sometimes you're wondering, should I be taking that, mixed with that? It might be approved by your doctor. Would you be another set of eyes, another opinion on things like that?
Yes, again, that is my specialty,
Okay.
where if you're taking five or more medications a day or five or more doses of medication a day, you're going to have a problem. That's a statistical fact. So whether it's a drug interaction or that you've skipped a dose or you're not taking it properly with food or whatever, those situations occur. So you don't have to wait till it's five or more
Right.
medication. Right. You can reach out if you've got a question. And many times, because physicians are measured on how many patients they see in a day, they have certain RVUs. I forget what the R stands for, but visit units. Um, and they're typically 15 minutes. So they don't have a lot of time. So when you work with me, the time is basically unlimited. We'll sit and we'll review every medication. How long have you been on it? Do you really even understand why you're on it? What was it originally prescribed for? And a lot of times that condition has gone away or fixed or it's not even important, but you're still taking that medication. So having a comprehensive review of all your medications once a year is a really good idea.
What about, Lisa, when you're on some meds and you're not seeing the results you think you should, and maybe you've tried a few prescribed by your doctor and it just hasn't really made the difference you thought it would? Is that something also you can take a look at?
Well, definitely. I mean, if you there drugs are in families. Okay, there's we call them drug classes actually, so that they all are cousins to one another. They have the same basic mechanism of action in the body, but each of them has subtle differences. So you can run through a couple of drugs in a class, and because they're all basically the same, you sometimes don't get the response that you want. So sometimes you have to go outside that class and see what else is available to you.
Hmm.
And sometimes it's the fourth out of five drugs is the one that works. I mean,
Yes.
honestly, it's all of us are so individual. We like to think that we're all the same physiologically, but each of us really and biologically are very different because of our genetic makeup, and our genes play a larger role than we thought. But then we can overcome genes with good behavior, if you will, healthy behaviors.
Just what you said I experienced. I think I shared that I had an ulcer back in the day, man, like 6 years ago, and was trying all the different over-the-counter medications. I think one was even prescribed. Nothing was making a difference. I didn't know it was an ulcer, just felt pain. And then once you start worrying about it, when it's an ulcer, it just makes it worse. So time went on. Finally, couldn't do it anymore. Actually drove myself to the hospital because my blood pressure was up, which is always low because of the anxiety. I got scoped both ways. They figured out, that it was an ulcer. But to your point, I'm laying in the recovery, waking up, from the endoscopy and such. And they said, well, it's an ulcer. Why don't you try this? And they gave me Nexium. Nexium was the one I did not try. And I'm talking like 7 different meds. And like 2 hours later, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm starting to feel better. And it was the one that I didn't try. So yeah, to your point, all the others might not work. One does agree with your body.
Well, that's good that you were able to find one that does work, but it took, an act of Congress, if you will, to find it. You
Yeah.
had to go through a procedure. So, and that's a common story, that you've tried a few things, but I believe Nexium still is prescription only. The others that you tried, like omeprazole, is over the counter, pantoprazole is over the counter, in the same class.
Mm-hmm.
Nexium is one of those prazole drugs. So,
Gotcha.
yeah, it's proton pump inhibitors, the class, but okay.
So I have a question, and based on everything we're talking about, the right meds for you. What do you think about the DNA tests that can identify which agree with your body and which don't?
So we're very much at the early stages of these.
Okay.
So even that we can know what your genetic makeup is. There aren't many physicians that have studied it well enough to tell you what to do about it.
Well, when you get that test back, and it's done for mental health a lot, probably that's the number one reason why many of these tests, from what I understand, are being done. You get a good, a maybe, and bad. Basically green, yellow, and red. And the medications are listed there. Is it accurate? I hear it's fairly accurate, but to me, if I'm in the red, I'm gonna stay away from those. There's other ones out there, right?
Right. Okay. So I was actually thinking of like the, what is it called? Genetic genies, like popping into my head, but you go through you spit in the little thing and you send it away.
Oh, you mean like a DNA test, like the 23andMe genealogy types?
There we go. Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I'm thinking of in
No, this
particular.
is medication specific. GeneSight is one of them.
Okay. So yes, that is fairly accurate because, with many of the mental health drugs, you've got to take them like 6 to 8 weeks before you even see the start of they're actually going to work for you. Meanwhile, you've been suffering before it kicks in. So once you've done one of those tests, it can shortcut the time, knowing which drug has a higher propensity to work for you. It doesn't mean it always will, but it certainly, in the green, it's a pretty good chance that's going to be the one that works for you.
Gotcha. We're just about out of time. And
wow, yeah, we are.
right. But interesting, identifying these things that kick up our lives, and that's why you're great at what you do, Lisa, making us think about those things. Again, when we first started, where's my vitality? It's vacation. That's it. I didn't think of the other things that are there. And there is, call them bright spots. It's, looking for those happy things under each all those core values. Your website is your name, right?
It is lisanesneski.com. And my store is healthymindfulself.com, doing a Mother's Day sale. So be sure to check that out. Yep.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, and listen, if there's anyone in the audience that really is suffering with trying to figure out what medications are right for them, please reach out to me on my website, lisanesneski.com, Nezneski.com, on the contact me, and we'll get started in helping you sort things out.
Literally, it could be a life changer if you're not getting the right kind of meds or you're having challenges with your doctor. Lisa, thanks so much for being with us today.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.